What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Aftersound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on this channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday morning, so come by and say hello. All right, guys, well, I never did get around to doing like a deep dive into the Land Phase 1.5 white paper like some folks had asked, so I apologize for that, but over the next couple of days, I have been reading through it a lot more. I don't want to make one massive video because that'll just take a lot of time, and I'm sure I'm going to miss a couple things here and there, so just keep an eye out. There'll probably be an assortment of videos that go into specific things within the white paper that are of interest for me at the time, and that I've taken the time to read through and want to go over with you guys. So worker options is going to be the focus for this video, and this is mainly because I'm trying to figure out, based on the amount of like occupied land we found, based on the amount of magical land that's out there, how many people are actually going to be focused on farming grain, and is there an opportunity? Now, I've traditionally said I think grain is going to be, not worthless, but it's just like it's going to be the forgotten child. It's not sexy, right? Think about like oil, for example. Nobody thinks like oil is sexy, yet the world runs on oil, and for the foreseeable future, until Land Phase 2 is out, the entire, all workers on land are going to be running on grain. So whoever is going after grain and trying to do something and build up a solid grain reserve that they can sell out, build a grain business that they can sell to everybody else who's chasing either SPS or the research of Pretoria tokens. I think that there's an opportunity there, but it remains to be seen. Now, the interplay between these, and I've said this before, probably on like a live stream, is only 2 out of the 3 options, right? Farming grain, mining SPS, and the secret of Pretoria research. Only 2 of them will have a calculatable ROI, right? Secret of Pretoria is unique in the sense that it leads to something in the future, and anybody who's here chasing whatever the team might be concocting for the future, right? Whatever cool plans they might be putting together for the secret of Pretoria, they'll be going there and working to research those tokens without any let's put it this way, without any need for a return on that investment, right? And so, sure, you do get prefix titles if you are one of the top players, but keep in mind, this is only going to be like 7 players, right, that will be able to get any kind of tangible benefit in the game, right? A 50% boost in their reward share production. So let's actually go into the secret of Pretoria research first. And there's a couple of things that I just want to highlight again. We might have covered it before, but just wanted to share these with you because I think this is the sexy part, right? This and SPS, these are the sexy ones because everybody thinks you're mining SPS now, the pool isn't going to be as high, and SPS is at less than 3 cents, and that has the potential to go up. And then Secret of Pretoria is going to be more of like a vanity thing, or at least long-term trust in the game that the team is going to provide value to these research tokens. So let's go over this real quick here. So unlocking the secret will require a monumental construction project that will be worked on jointly by all landowners in each of the 7 territories that make up Pretoria, and will provide huge benefits. Now this is important. I want to highlight this, likely including airdrops as well as ongoing benefits. So that to me is pretty crazy, right? Because imagine a future promo card or a spell or an item that land can bring that is just airdrop to you because you were researching the tokens. So there can and probably will be some kind of calculatable ROI, but only on a backward looking historical basis. So that alone will drive people to go and be like, oh, well, I want to be somebody who gets these airdrops, and I want to go after the prefix titles, or I want to get these other ongoing benefits. I think the team is going to do, X, Y, and Z to make sure that, the secret of Pretoria research is highly incentivized. So, just that alone, I think is going to drive a lot of people into that area. And just as a reminder, let's go to not terrain preferences, but magical and occupied. So magical land is going to be the one that gets a boost on Secret of Pretoria research, and that is roughly 12% of all land out there. Occupied is going to be the SPS mining, but that's only 3% of land roughly, right? So we're going back here to the secret of Pretoria research. The full project will not begin until Land Phase 2 is out. All right, we know that already, but people can start unlocking these research tokens. For every 10,000 production points generated toward a task, players will receive 1 research token. So name is subject to change, minus the 10% for taxes. So I don't know. I guess the the token will go towards, will there be fractional tokens that go to keep and castle owners? That's a question that I think should be asked whenever Matt is on next. Like, will castle and keep owners be able to partake in this, or will they just get a fraction of it? I don't know. Whatever, we'll see. But now, obviously, that's relevant to me now, so that's why I'm paying attention and trying to figure it out. There are additional benefits to earning research tokens. Players can compete to earn the most and get the Vonarch title, Magister, Overseer. Actually, so I missed one here. So it is not just the top 6. It is the top 35 plus these, so about top 40, 42-ish players that will be able to receive some kind of benefit in game for that. Okay, now let's go to the other sexy one, all right? Mining SPS. Now, we talked about how occupied land, there's only 3% of it, but you can probably bet your bottom dollar that all of that occupied land is going to go towards mining SPS immediately because of that 100% boost. You're going to be getting double for that land. Now, mining SPS is something that I want to do with my own land as well, just because I think that the pool is going to shrink down as it is. There's like a little under 6 million that's paid out per month, right? 6 million that's minted per month for SPS, and that's being split across all surveyed land now. Before, it was all land that was held in game and not on the market. Now it's being held for all surveyed land, and at some point in the future, it's going to be only land that is working for it in phase 1.5, and then obviously change again once land phase 2 comes out. So they're saying here that it's going to be roughly 5.77 million SPS per month. This will also be subject to a 10% tax. And ultimately, there's nothing to say about SPS. I think everybody wants to get as much SPS as possible, and this is one of those that has a very calculatable ROI. But people feel as though there is tremendous upside. That's what makes this very sexy compared to farming grain, because farming grain has a cap. So let's actually go over to farming grain now. Now, with grain farming, one thing that I think is important to note is if you are farming grain, you're really only getting half, right? Because all the grain that you produce, you produce at a rate of 0.02 pp per hour, but you do consume at a rate of 0.01, meaning that, whatever it is that you produce, just immediately take half of that and give it to the monsters that are producing it, that are producing it for you. So that creates an immediate kind of scarcity, because it's just like, well, if you have 2 plots that have the same amount of production points, and you have one going for SPS or one going for Secret of Pretoria research tokens, well, then, they can only provide, they're providing just for that other land. So essentially, when you think about it, like, are we going to have half of the land focusing on grain? Again, to me, that's a ridiculous amount. There's 3 options here, and to think that half of land focusing on grain is kind of crazy. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is that all land is not made equal, right? Mainly because all cards staked on land are not made equal. So land that has massive amounts of production points using a lot of the older alpha, beta, gold foil cards, those are probably going to go towards the research tokens and the SPS, in my opinion. Again, I'm just guessing here, right? I don't know who's going to be going massive amounts on farming grain, especially because grain has an upside cap here, which would be 1 DEC per grain. Now, I did the math on this a while ago and kind of showing, like, if you were to buy land and just use, a totally common plot, it'd be like 200% if you were selling 200% APR if you were selling your grain on the market for 1 DEC per grain. But they are saying here that this price is purposely much higher. So I have the full expectation that this is probably going to be a fraction of 1 DEC. My guess is maybe close to like 10% of it. So like 0.1 DEC per grain. This 1 DEC that'll be available from the store at any time, right? Will be something that essentially makes people feel like, oh gosh, I don't want to pay this, but I have to. And now I need to find grain, or whatever the case is. I need to farm grain. So, looking at the grain farming side of things, I do wonder if we will see half of the land going towards grain. Now, maybe you might have somebody that's just like, you know what, screw SPS, screw research of Pretoria tokens. That stuff is too volatile and it's not predictable, right? I know what I can get with my grain. I can get an X percentage return on grain. Sure, there's a cap on the upside, but I am providing so much of what people need, right? I'm providing the oil for the economy, for the land economy to function, that people will always be needing this. They will always need it. They'll always be paying for it. And as more or less people produce, right, or maybe more people chase SPS, for example, let's say SPS goes up, let's say SPS jumps, to 5 cents, 6 cents, it does a 2x from where it is now. All of a sudden, you might get people who are like, you know what, maybe I'll go for SPS, which will reduce the amount of people that are farming for grain, maybe reduce the amount of people that are going for research tokens. So grain is actually one of the most exciting for me to watch, and I know that I haven't really thought about it before this, but mainly because it's going to be the most versatile. It's going to be like the oil of land. And that's just because it's completely functional. It's completely functional and it's completely predictable in terms of what you get. The ROI isn't going to change dramatically with, SPS going up or down. Sure, there's tremendous upside, but at the same time, what could you be missing out on? Again, I won't get into it. And then obviously research of Pretoria tokens, secret of Pretoria research tokens is what it's called. It's going to be hard to calculate that until we get into phase 2 and probably even beyond to actually look back at the historical stuff. So again, this is kind of just a brain dump of all the stuff that I'm looking at when it comes to worker options. I have 3 plots, of which only 2 I can work now. And so I'm thinking that, sure, I have the benefit of the keep, which will probably be bringing some grain in. And I'll be putting most of my production points on the keep itself. So maybe I focus on mining SPS and Secret of Pretoria research with the other 2. But I am really looking at the numbers of, okay, what if you wanted to build just a straight up grain business, right? Like if you just wanted to go straight grain throughout the entire thing, what would be the APR for that? And I'll show my math and calculate that in a separate video once we can get the market to kind of stabilize out a little bit more. But it's not going to be terrible. Again, you'd have to make some assumptions, but we'll cover that in a separate video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I want to open this up now to comments here because I'm curious to get your feedback, knowing what we know now with the land that you have and the spread that you have. Because before it was all very hypothetical, right? I had 3 lands, but they were not, they were all equal. They were just packs essentially, right? I didn't know, just question marks. But now I know what boosts they have. I know what cards I would need to go for, which ones I want to put my Rooney on, for example. So I'm curious to know, what are you planning to do with your land? First of all, like how much land do you have, if you're willing to share that? And what are you planning to do with your land? What are the things that you are going to chase? The market will eventually stabilize itself and find a nice equilibrium. But I'm still curious to know where people who are thinking far ahead are planning to go with their production points, with their PP. So that is all I have for you guys. Have an amazing rest of your day. I'll catch you all in the next video and see you around the game. Take care.